We call it Quadrennium planning session, and we've done it for the last couple of administrations. We go through and talk about things that we are involved in now and getting those finished, completed. And then also other things that we might think about doing in the future. And so it's just kind of amongst the council members, a chance to sit down and talk about some issues. We've got department heads here. We asked them to come. Thank you for being here. We may call on some of them to participate in this as well. We got a member of our recreation board here that is I think a source that we may call on him for something. But we'll get started. You have in your hands there a copy of the resolution 2021-47 establishing goals for the quadrenniums beginning in that year. And what I thought what we would do is to go through this list and see where we are on those things that we talked about. And then when we get through that, then talk about other things that you may want to talk about as far as future goals and plans. Glasses. Start number one, develop a new comprehensive plan with input from the council and the public, and we did that. So you can put a check by that. That was accomplished. The next one is continued rebuilding of downtown with private partners who intend to restore and occupy historic buildings and the development of additional parking and green space. Now, that's something that will continue. It's been certainly in the last 4 years we've done that, but that's something we will continue to do. So I'm gonna put a plus out here by that. It's something that we will continue to do, and any city that's going to survive and be prosperous and provide what the city needs to provide will, I think, do the same thing. The next is pursuit of additional quality of life attractions such as a carousel, a second splash pad, an indoor aquatic center, an amphitheater park areas, entertainment for teens, and a new museum. Some of that has been done and some of it has not. So we'll leave that open for further discussion in a few minutes. Let's see, still open. All right, next one is addressing the pervasive litter problem by contracting with the sheriff of Covey County to have inmates picked up litter daily. That program was started and went for, where's Andy?
About a year.
Andy?
We did it for about a year, Mayor.
About a year,
Yes,
and then it just got, the sheriff had other issues to deal with, and it just got to be too much for him to be able to provide. And of course, we were paying the expenses related to that. But we would have continued it, but the sheriff was unable to continue it, and we understand that he's got his department to run, and we appreciate his help that we did get. But we still work hard on litter problems. And I'm not gonna say we solved the litter problem, because we haven't. All you gotta do is drive around and look. Folks throwing stuff out of their cars, throw it in the back of their pickup truck and drive down the road 70 miles an hour and blow it out on the bypass or on East 3-Knot Street. They may be doing 60 on East 3-Knot Street, not 70. So litter continues to be a problem, not just in Andalusia, Alabama, but all over the country. And so that's something else that is open, and we will continue to work on that. So I'm gonna put open by that. we'll come back and discuss that as possible solutions or changes that can be there. The next item is pursuant to A-Trip 2 and other grant fundings, pursuit of A-Trip 2 and other grant fundings for the East 3 Notch, 8th Avenue, and Andalusia High School sidewalk projects. That's been done, and, we're completing, within maybe a month, I hope, a couple months of finishing 3rd Avenue, which was over and above what we were talking about here. We did get the sidewalks around high school, the entire block, including the residential area. And we worked with the Board of Education to get a grant to rework the campus of Andalusia High School. And that grant has been approved, and, have they let the contract on that for, has the bids yet, and?
I don't think so. I think it's coming up shortly, last time I talked to Derek.
We'll check with the, I'll check the superintendent on that, give you an update on it, but we were successful in getting that done. And, hopefully that's gonna make a huge change for that whole part of town, which is, nearby here. We're already seeing some, improvements on residential housing, in the area, where these sidewalks have been, installed. We see the public out using them, walking on, and getting exercise, and being out in the community, neighbors visiting with each other. It's just a great quality of life thing, and we're gonna continue that throughout the city as we're able to get grants to do it.
You have one more sidewalk grant.
Ma'am?
You have one more sidewalk.
And we've got a huge sidewalk project over, on, sorry, named the.
On the north side.
Jerry Street.
On Jerry Street.
On
Jerry
the west.
Street. That's, was that 800,000, 600,000, what?
About, between 6 and 8, the whole project in the grant.
But that'll be a tremendous improvement for the neighborhood over there. And, again, grant money. So we're successful with that. This next item is really something that has been a stone in our boots for a long time. Develop a middle-class workforce housing. That's something that Andalusia has been, I'll make sure I use the right word here, but Andalusia has been in need of more workforce housing, and we're getting that now. We've accomplished some of that already on Church Street, some houses that the city was involved with a private partner. And we've got some that's gonna happen on Railroad Avenue with a private partner. And then we've got the big project over on Snowden Drive. It's gonna start out with 22, 22 houses that'll be rental houses, will not be for sale, it's for rental. But we need that. We need, but I hear from folks in the real estate business, very often, we need more housing, and we do. But we're making progress with that. And this time next year, we'll have 22 new houses on Snowden Drive. And, we've also got the potential for, an apartment complex that's a market level complex, not related to age, not related to incomes, just market prices. And that's something we've been working hard on as well. So we're making progress. We're not where we need to be, but we're making progress. So I feel comfortable that we're gonna make significant progress in this quadrennium. Development of middle class workforce housing, but that's what we saw, the last thing I'm reading. Rails for trails, that's something that's still out there. We got a ways to go on that. Increased neighborhood security, that is something that we have worked really hard. And we've got, how many cameras do we have now, Chief, around the city?
Bailiff like cameras?
Yes.
Probably all total over 100, everywhere.
Over 100.
Yeah.
Working, getting more.
And we're still getting more, so that's something that will help our security. We've also got some portable security issues, that, you can move around and put it in different places depending on where you need them. And that's something, again, that we will continue to use and probably get some more of those as well if we can get the grants to get those. That's another grant, hopefully get a grant for that. Increased pursuit of grant opportunities, including housing improvement programs. Well, we just talked about that, but there's some other housing improvement programs that, Mr. Nix is particularly interested in, and we're gonna try to pursue that. We've gotta remember that this past quadrennium it was the COVID years, and we got behind on some things because of COVID, and housing was, unfortunately, one of those things. But it wasn't just true in Andalusia, it was true all over the country. But we're gonna continue to work on those. So I'm gonna say open on that increased grant up. Expanded sidewalk system to include more neighborhoods, we've already talked about that. We got David Street and Jerry Streets done. And we've already mentioned around the high school, that entire block, and new and improved sidewalks on 3rd Avenue. So we've been successful in getting that done, and we're gonna continue, as I've already said, we're gonna continue to do those. And we'll come back to that and talk about it if you want to, in our general discussion. Rehabilitation of 3rd Avenue, that's not, the work's not completed, but it will be shortly, hopefully within a month, maybe 6 weeks. They're getting really close. They're down to the last block, I think, of that project, having that done. Improved facilities for the police, fire department, and city court. We've done all 3 of those. That's not to say that we won't ever do it again, or there's not more to do, but we've made significant improvements to all 3 of those: the police department, the fire department, and the city court. So that's been successful. We can mark that. Continue to evaluate the potential need for a second fire station. That's something that someday we will have to do, but we were successful, and we may talk, get the chief to talk with us just a little bit about it in a minute, but we were successful in the last grading that we got by the agency, and I forgot. ISO, and we got our ISO rating improved a notch, which means that insurance rates for our homeowners and property owners should be less than it would have been if we hadn't got that improvement. So that we succeed in that, and we'll continue to do that, because that's something that it's like any city is continually trying to improve their first responders, and we'll talk more about what we've done in that area as well in a few minutes. Improvements to Johnson Park facility. We're gonna talk about that. That's open. We've done some things, but we've got more things to do. Improve rights of way maintenance. We've made improvements there, but I guess you're strictly saying we accomplish that, but that again is one of those things that you do continually. You never get through with keeping your right of ways clear. And then the, next to the last one here, development for a workforce plan, a workforce development plan. We have worked with the high school and with LBW to focus on development of workforce. And we got some programs going that are accomplishing that. But we've got a whole new department in state government that is called the Department of the Workforce Department of Workforce. And I know the President Pro Tem of the Senate was named by the governor to run that operation. I've already met with him 3 times. He wants to come to Andalusia and meet with us and with LBW and the school board and the administration for our high school to really focus on workforce development, because we can't bring industry here if we don't have people to work in it, and it just won't come. So that's important. And again, this is something that is all over the state. It's not just Andalusia and Covenant County, but the whole state is struggling with workforce development. So the governor, in my opinion, did a really good thing by developing this department and putting some guns in the hands of the administrators of that department. When I say guns, I don't mean that literally. I mean giving them the power to get things done that were blocked heretofore by law or by just red tape, I guess. So we're working hard to develop that. And I want the new Secretary of Workforce has stated that he would like to see maybe a branch of his office of that department in Andalusia, and that would be a really big plus for us. We're gonna work hard to try to get that done. Sharp gentleman and a hard worker, and he's got the tools to work with. I think we'll be successful. Capitalizing on low interest rates for bond issues, which will wish to accomplish these goals. When we did this 4 years ago, bond rates were at their lowest level in a decade, or maybe longer. They have since gone up some, but they dropped back down a little bit, and hopefully they'll come back down some more. But we probably will do a bond issue during this term to accomplish some of the goals that we're gonna talk about trying to accomplish here in just a few minutes. So, if you look at that list, we have already, we were successful in our projection or putting this on the list. We have more things that we were able to do than things that we are partially done or not done at all. So I think this has been a successful quadrennium on meeting those goals. Now, there's something that fits in here that was not on the goal. It again is always a goal for the city, and that's bringing in new industry and new retail and that kind of stuff. It's been the busiest 4 years I recall in my lifetime as far as bringing in industry and businesses and jobs, with perhaps the exception of when Shaw Industries came here. Back then it was
Amoco
fabrics, fiber and fabrics, reverse, but anyway, and of course Shaw bought Amoco out. And during that 4-year period, Shaw Industries, and I'll tell you the story on this. I was in Montgomery for a meeting with the chancellor of Troy University, had checked into the hotel and was bringing my stuff in, and my cell phone rang. And it was the manager of Shaw Industries. And he said, Mayor, I've got some news I don't think you're gonna like, but I gotta tell you. Shaw headquarters has called me and told me that we may be moving from Andalusia. And he gave the various reasons why. He said, now, you know, their headquarters is in Georgia, North Georgia. And they have to haul their product that they make here in Andalusia back to North Georgia to use it to make carpet with. And they said that is an expensive proposition, running trucks, 18-wheelers back and forth. I forgot how many trucks this some day, was it 6?
No, it's about 40 trucks a day.
40 trucks a day was much more than I remember. That's a huge expense. He said, we've got to figure out a way to make up for that cost, or they're gonna move from Andalusia. He said, we're gonna move, meaning Shaw's gonna move from Andalusia. Well, I met with the chancellor, but I wasn't very happy to be with him that evening. I was so worried about it. So that next morning, I got on the phone and started making phone calls and put a group of people together, talented folks here in Andalusia and Covenant County. And we got with the Shaw folks, within the week. We were sitting at the table with them to negotiate what can we do to keep this from happening, to keep you here in Andalusia. And they named off about 3 things, and one of them I didn't think we could accomplish, but we were able to do that. We finally were able to get them to back off of that and say, well, not only are we not gonna leave Andalusia, we're gonna spend $450 million redoing this plant. And that's what they did. Almost $500 million they spent out there, improving the plant. They added buildings, they added equipment, they took out a lot of the old equipment, put in new stuff. And when the governor came down and we had a ribbon cutting, the president of Shaw pulled me aside. He said, Mayor, said, relax. Said, we're gonna be here for another generation. So I slept a little better that night. But, so we were very successful in getting that done. We had, I don't know how many new retail folks came into town during that period of time, but probably a dozen. And then we got a call one day from Evergreen, from Connecticut Sausage, saying we're interested in coming to Andalusia. And we got that worked out, and that project out there, I think, was right at $90 million. Andy, is that right? Was it $90 million on Connecticut Sausage?
No, about 65.
65 million.
Yeah.
It's 90,000 square feet in the
Right.
building. That's where the 90
Yes.
came from. And they've got the operation going. They still got work to do on their office part of the project, but they'll get that done. They're waiting on some materials right now. About 150 jobs. Not one Haitian, not a single one. So we're happy to have our people. Of course, they brought some of their people from Evergreen with them. There's some supervisor type folks came and will remain with them because they know how to run the plant, and they'll be teaching new employees how to do that, and they're going to be here a long, long time. In addition, they're going to build another significant retail center out on the Bruton Highway inside the city limits of our city. It will be a modern, really nice facility. It'll also be large enough, the parcel that it's going to be put on will be large enough for some other large retailers, groceries, department stores, housing, and yard large enough for a significant retail center inside our city limits. And, of course, we didn't have to do a lot except get them here and show them what we would help them do and what they could do. And they already, of course, they lived in Evergreen, they already know about Andalusia and they have friends here, but that's gonna be a really big boost for our economy. So that, you know, in 4 years, that's the list right there. And then the other stuff is not even on the list, so, I mean, it'd be, several more pages of things that have been, successful in pulling into Andalusia, in the last quadrennium. So what we wanna talk about now is, let's look at the things on the list that we still have something to do on, or haven't done at all. And then let's talk about things that are not on the list, just ideas that we want to discuss, bringing quality of life issues to our community, and bringing new industry and businesses, and improving the facilities. One thing that we've been able to do, and we've got that wall right over there, most of our employees, department heads, we have worked hard and put together, I think, the greatest group of city employees I know anything about. They work themselves hard and love this community and doing a great job. And that's a big reason we've been successful. That's one of the biggest reasons we've been successful, is the great staff and the great employees that we have. So we continue to try to improve their point in life, where they are, where their salaries, where their benefits are. And we're gonna continue to do that. We just gave them a 6% raise, 2 months ago. And we're gonna look at, reclassifying some of the jobs that will result in some of the starting salaries particularly will be increased, which will help us, particularly with the police department and with public works and with recreation. It'd be very important, and those departments to get out and do the heavy work. The planning department, Andy's department, his folks work from can to can't every day and do a wonderful job. We want to keep those folks, and we want to be able to attract others. We got a young man just joined us, Cole, is now head of our public works department. He's doing a great job, and will continue to do so. We've got a new finance Ty sitting here over here, new guy that's joined us. This is his first week, second day.
They too.
Have you got it all under your belt yet?
Still here.
But the point is, we're now able to attract these kinds of folks because of where we've got ourselves financially. The city is strong financially. We have an A+ rating with Standard & Poor's. There are not many cities our size, particularly in the South, that have even an A rating. We have an A+ rating, and we're working on to get another plus beside it. Because that lowers what you have to pay. If you borrow money, you pay less interest rate. And that puts money back in your pocket. The city's in great financial shape. We've got great staff members like John Thompson, who does a good job as the administrator of the city. Wears a lot of hats and works hard to help us accomplish what we've accomplished, and wants to do the same thing in the next quadrennium. So, I guess the first thing we could talk about that I see is still open is pursuit of additional quality of life attractions, such as a carousel. Now, an awful lot of talk on Facebook about carousel, and what a waste of money it is, and how silly it is, and how wrong-minded is. The idea for a carousel came from the citizens, not from us. We had an open door, meeting of citizens with what?
Town hall meeting.
Town hall meeting is the word I'm trying to come up with. We had about 150 people came to that meeting and stayed for hours working and talking amongst themselves and with us, and came up with a suggestion of things to do. And one of those things was a carousel in a new park. Guess what? We got the new park, we've got almost through the first phase of it, and we've ordered a carousel. So that didn't come from Earl Johnson, it didn't come from anybody on the council, it came from the citizens of the city. So we're gonna continue to do those things that we think will be attractive to our citizens and their families. I mentioned the new park, which amphitheater was included on that, so there is an amphitheater in the new park. There was some discussion about a splash pad, a second splash pad. That's something we plan to do, is put in a second splash pad. And it may be in our park, we don't know yet. We're looking at the best place to put it. It may be in the park, or it may be somewhere else, but we haven't decided yet exactly where that's gonna be. We talked about a aquatic center, indoor aquatic center. We cannot afford an indoor aquatic center. And it's just the plain facts. And I've talked to mayors all over the state who had those aquatic centers in their towns, and they're now closed, they're shut down. There are a few in the state, but they're in the big cities, not in the Andalusias of Alabama. They're in Huntsville, they're in Coleman. There was one in what's the little town right next door to Tuscaloosa?
Northport.
Northport. There was one in Northport, and I think it's closed now. To build a true indoor facility that would be attractive for swim meets and those kinds of things, you're talking about somewhere between $12 and $15 million. And then you're talking about another $1 million a year to maintain it and operate it. We don't have that kind of money. We just don't. And we're not ever gonna have it in my lifetime to spend on one thing for 100 kids. We just don't. And so we do want to improve our swim center, what we have now, and we're gonna make some improvements. But we can't build an indoor swimming facility. We just don't have it. I use this analogy. This didn't happen, but this is an analogy that I use to compare what we're talking about here. When I got to be 16 years old, I got my driver's license, and I ran up to my daddy, I said, "Daddy, I got my driver's license, I've been making good grades, I want a new Corvette." Because I want the best. He said, "Son, this family can't afford a Corvette. You're not gonna get a car till you go to college, and then it's gonna be probably a Volkswagen." And that's exactly what it was. But I didn't get it till I was a junior in college. And it had 36 horsepower and probably 136,000 miles on it. And I mean, that's what my family could afford. And it may sound silly, but to ask the city to spend $15 million on an indoor facility and then have the liability for maintaining it and operating it, it's just not doable. Can we make some improvements out there? Yes, we can, and we're working on that, and Andy's getting some stuff put together on that. We can make some improvements at our pool, but we can't build an indoor facility. And that's just it. So, anybody want to comment on that, or from the council members, anything you wanna add to or take away, or?
You know, I think, on the pool situation, I was appalled at the restroom facilities. We've got to do something about
Yes.
the restrooms. And it's just out-of-town people come and it's deplorable. That place
Well-
used to smell like the locker room when I was playing football.
Yes, sir. And you're right, and that's one of the things we're talking about doing, is redoing all of that and making it as best we can. You know, public restrooms are the toughest thing we can deal with. People just, they just don't pay any attention to what you're doing in there. And it becomes a mess and a real hurry. Now, we gotta pay more attention, which means we gotta put more people out there, which means you gotta hire some folks, which means that adds to the cost of doing all this stuff. Cause it doesn't clean itself, you gotta have people clean it. But that needs to be done, and I agree with you, and Andy and I have already talked about it. That's number one on the agenda, is to get that place cleaned up.
Mayor, are we talking about improvements in Cooper Park? Or are we talking about maybe moving it to Johnson?
No, we're not gonna build a new pool, we're gonna keep what we got and try to improve it. There's some other things, we will talk about Johnson Park in a minute, but putting the pool way out there makes it really difficult for the kids. A lot of kids walk to the pool where it's located now. If you put it out there at Johnson Park, it would be mighty tough, for most of the kids that are walking out there to the pool now wouldn't be able to get there. It'd take them an hour to walk there.
Is it possible to take the, area that's now a dog park for parking?
You talking about across the street?
Yeah.
We could take part of that maybe as parking, or develop some other strategy on parking. That's a great piece of commercial property. And I'd hate to see it turn into a parking lot for a swimming pool that's only used two or 3 months out of the year. We've got some people that's interested in it, that's just like you say that, possible development.
Well, I will say the events I've been to at the pool, parking is a tremendous issue.
Yeah.
So,
You know, there's a piece down there, down where the park is, where the parking place is now, behind the, service station. There's a pretty good little piece of property there that maybe we could get used for parking. That's something we can look into. But parking's, it is a tough thing because it's a neighborhood, there's houses all up and down the street, so there's not many places you can get to put a parking lot.
well, I don't wanna put Darren on the spot, but,
I was
am-
meant to be a fly on the wall here.
All right, so if we can't do an aquatic, I mean, it is expensive, super expensive.
Yes.
What improvements to the current
I
pool
mean,
would you like to see?
I really didn't want to get into this here, but I mean, you guys probably know, you have reports of kids cutting themselves on the finishing of the pool. You know, there's something going on underneath. I don't know exactly what, but I mean, there's when it's empty, it buckles. The facilities themselves. Speaking about the kids walking in the neighborhood and that kind of stuff. Another part of the problem you have with the restrooms, with the pool itself, lights are at times ruined. Part of the problem you have is the fact that, I don't think it's a secret, I don't think it's just swim area that calls it this, but you have the dollar daycare that goes on there. Where these kids aren't supervised, they aren't anything, and you have 3 young teenagers trying to maintain them as lifeguards, which, you know, most of them are older than they are. So they're not comfortable with that type of position. So you do have that happening at that pool. But the big thing is just the condition of the pool. There's not enough area for us to truly have events, which I appreciate the mayor actually at least putting it to rest at this point, that it can't be done. You know, I appreciate that. But what can be done, there needs to be some serious maintenance done to that structure itself. It's over 40 years old. And there's been different reports just within the last year of kids cutting themselves on that thing. And, there's certain danger aspects to it.
Yeah, I'm 100% behind improving the park.
Yes, sir.
And
It's got to
the
be.
area, cleaning it up, putting, if there's something dangerous, correcting that, those kinds of things. We can have a nice pool out there.
We also,
Operating a pool for kids that come without parents is a tough job. And you gotta hire somebody that's got a life, is a lifeguard. Certified. And kids now don't get certified lifeguard. They just don't. They used to have you learn it at Boy Scouts or you learn it at Girl, you know what, they don't do it anymore. So it's just difficult as a heck to find, people who are qualified, to supervise, children in an open pool like that.
And we do have pool managers out there, which are adults. Most of the time, they're coaches and people like that are off in the summer. So when things do happen, the teenage lifeguards, they don't have to necessarily handle the situation. It's up to the pool managers to take care of it. To address, if you don't mind, I'll address some of the.
Yes, sir, that's what we're here for.
That's aluminum liner pool. The paint you put on it, it does flake up after a while. We did have it x-rayed and it's not necessarily hollow underneath it,
Wait a minute, not necessarily, you mean.
It's not.
not.
When you let the water out of that aluminum, it becomes flexible. It doesn't hug the ground. It's aluminum. It heats up and it becomes, flexible. It expands just per se. So it doesn't have anywhere to go but up. And that's why you have those little hollow sounding places in it. So there's no hollow parts up under it. So the things that, we proposed is number one, the filter house. That filter house is so old now that we have to build the filters to go in it, and different things like that. The pool house is just as old as the filter house. All that needs redoing, 100%. A lot of the reasons is, the cast iron plumbing in there, the lack of P-traps and things like that, that's why the smell comes back up in there.
would this necessarily fix the water issue?
Yes, it would. It would. The water issue is, when we did all of our testing on it, the water issue is actually in the pump house. It's not inside the pool. As it circulates, those old big rusted pipes, they're leaking, and the only way to fix it is to redo the whole thing and dig everything up and, put the new pipes back to it. So that's part of the plan, if, the
Could I-
council so choose. So-
Could I ask for you guys to consider one thing while you're looking into this whole plan with it? If it is feasible to set it up with heat, if it's reasonable to do so that it would be at a later date possible, or even a bubble put on it, where it could possibly be used in the future.
That I have not priced that
That's all I
out.
would ask.
You know,
Other than what you guys are talking about, that's all I would ask.
That's
Is
something we could
consider.
take a look at.
Mr. Mayor, in light of this particular part with the pool and everything, one of the items that I wanted to talk about, if you remember about 12 years ago, I believe, on the utility side, we did an assessment of our wastewater. We got people in that assess everything about it. We've done that on the electrical side. We've been making steady improvements. If the power goes out in one area, it automatically switches. I would like to see us assess all of the city property, the pool, all of the buildings we own. We've got a lot of brick sidewalks, the brick pavers, and they're sunk, and they're hazards. and let's get a plan. We can't fix everything at one time, but we can, just like we did with the utilities. We put a plan together, we've now got our water tanks under regular maintenance, it's saving us money. Everything is in good shape. I'd like to see us do that on the city side.
Well, that's kind of
all
what we're
the
doing
utilities.
here.
And I know we're talking about the pool, let's include that, but look at the rest of the city property.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And,
Yeah,
come
the
up
side,
with-
the brick paver sidewalks in time sink.
Right.
And what has to happen is you gotta take a mug, put sand in there
Right.
and reset them. And it's not every square, but it's, you
Right.
know, every fourth or fifth floor.
wherever water runs.
Wherever water gets in, right.
But if we do that, and we can put a cost to it, and we can put a plan together, just like we did on the utility side, to address
Yeah, I think
the
so.
pool, and all the other city property.
Well, we'll have to do that to know how much money's gonna take to
Right.
do all that stuff. And then we gotta make choices of what we spend the
Right.
money on. But that's kind of the point of this, is to start putting those down, and then we'll start getting
Getting the cost and.
cost estimates, and then that gives you some more information on which ones you can do and which ones you can't do.
What can we afford, and
Right.
then how can we work on some of it along.
Right.
So, I'd like to see us, do that for all the city property.
Yeah.
So back to the pool. What you had mentioned, we're looking into what it's gonna cost now, right?
Yes.
Yeah, that's part of what we gotta find out. Like he's talking about the pump house, that's an expensive
Yeah.
deal right there. But you gotta, if you're gonna have a pool, you gotta have a pump house, so that we gotta do it.
I mean, we're looking at something like $1.2 million, $1.3 million for
Somewhere, yeah.
the filtration system, the liner, replace the liner, and the rehabbing the building.
Yeah.
So just to give you an idea of what rehabbing the existing facility would be.
Does that include the pump house?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
All the items that.
We're talking about $1.5 million is what you're talking
Yeah.
about.
To me, you better put $1 million.
And that
on it.
includes the bathroom?
Yes, sir.
The building,
Total
rehabbing the building,
renovation.
the bathhouse, we call it, concessions, all that, reline the pool and the filtration system. Basically, would essentially be a new pool in the same location.
Okay, we talked about splash pad, that's really a popular thing for the smaller kids. Parents, taking them out to one at Johnson Park. Getting around to Johnson Park. Billy Bergfield is here with us, and of course, our department head is here with us, and really, we don't know exactly what all needs to be done out there, because my kids are grown, so I don't go out there that much, don't see it, but Billy, give us some idea of what you as a father of your children in it, and you're a member of the recreation committee. What do you see as the biggest needs at Johnson Park?
Yeah, sure, and, Willie, if I say something out of line, just reach over and hit me. The rec board, the members of it, and then myself as a parent and a coach, just like, Darren is with the swim team. There's no one that knows more about what those facilities need, from that standpoint than the people who use them all the time. So just speaking for Johnson Park, and I'm gonna kind of toss Kiwanis in because most of our sports move. Soccer's over there, baseball was over there a lot this year, softball's been there. So, as I tried to think about these things before this meeting, the number one thing I thought about are what are the safety issues at those facilities? But number one, when it comes to the baseball and softball, this is at both complexes. The number one safety issue now, in my opinion, is foul balls. If there's some way that we could, address, maybe it's a shade. I've seen shade structures at facilities that are similar to the batting cage at Johnson Park. They put those over the seating areas. It provides two things: shade for people to watch it. It also provides foul ball protection. That's a safety concern that we have. Another one that most people may not think is one, but if you've gone out there to watch your kid play, anytime a pitcher warms up, whether it's softball or baseball, they're warming up right outside the fence where people are sitting in chairs, and people are getting hit by baseballs or softballs as they warm up. So simply adding bullpens to the fields at those, which is very minor. You're adding a 6 to 8 foot wide lane for bullpens. Those are kind of the two safety things that I really saw as something that's that probably needs to be addressed from a safety standpoint. Then you kind of go to what do we want? What would make it look better for people that travel from out of town? What would make it nicer for the people here that use it? And the things that myself and some other coaches have talked about is new dugouts and preferably some sort of concrete block dugouts where they're not just open chain link, where all the children and parents are messing with players that are in the dugout. They're blocked. And then I think this one may be being addressed, and I don't know, is the lights for sure at Johnson Park are kind of getting older. We're having some issues with those. I'm not sure about Kiwanis, but there's, when some are going out, I don't know how old they are. We've had several practices before where we're kind of doing some things in a little bit of darkness. Then you can get into wants. I don't know that there's necessarily a reason to do that. Everybody that coaches baseball or softball wants a turf infield. But is that something we need? It's not, in my opinion, but it's something that's great. Other cities are doing it. I don't know how many are doing it that are our size. I don't even know the actual cost implications of new installation. And do you save any money for maintenance? I have no idea. But I kind of try to look at it from that safety, things that would make it nicer for both the folks who use it and people traveling from out of town. And then what is what's kind of a big one.
What about the area down that was put, I don't know, 4 or 5 years ago, that was kind of put together as a spillover area to play
T-ball
soccer?
area.
At Johnson Park.
Johnson Park, yeah.
There's temporary T-ball fields, and I think football's practice out there.
We put football out there, the auxiliary fields is what they're talking about. We moved our football out there, and we took our younger kids and took them to the Miracle League area, and then took our 7, 8-year-old kids to our corner field area. So to have help with that.
What do you need down there to make that, because there's no restrooms down there that.
No, there's not, I think there's some things we've looked at, me and Andy have looked at, and about remodeling that area down there, putting in some concession bathroom area down there. Biggest thing is make sure we get the drainage all fixed down in that area, because it stays so wet. That's one reason why we moved it.
Is it flat, or does it have any?
It's just, it's in a hole, a little bit in a hole, but it needs some drainage. It's a big issue.
Yeah.
Mr. Mayor, Billy's talking about the turf. Shaw makes the yarn for turf in Bainbridge, Georgia.
Yeah.
So we could probably, if that's something you wanted to do, we could probably get a deal from Shaw with the plant here.
That's something we can look
to do
at.
that.
Again, the cost would be.
We may be able to do that.
I've reached out to Shaw, Councilman Powell, maybe 2 years ago, and I think it was to get all 4 fields done at turf at that time. Infield turf was gonna be, this at Johnson Park, was like $750 million.
Better have a dome, Willie.
I'm going to be playing in Bainbridge.
That makes you crowd up here.
But to get that done, that's what it was at that time.
Well, the safety issues, to me, are the ones we need to address first. And then some of the other stuff, put on what we can do. Playing on grass is like, that's how you play baseball.
What are the benefits to turf over crack?
You don't have to cut it.
The,
Go slow, go, man.
yeah,
You're talking about the infield, so there's no grass in the infield.
that's right, the maintenance, just the
Yeah, I mean,
infield.
realistically, in the big picture wise, the big benefit is attractiveness to out-of-town folks. Right now, your closest areas that have turf are Dothan. They just opened a new facility, is it in, what's the town site? Millbrook. Fort Walton has one, but the guy that owned the Chevy place paid for everything, and now it's kinda getting a little older, so really the main benefit is probably attractiveness to, outside events, hosting, annual tournaments or
What about
softball,
travel,
baseball.
attracting travel ball? Is there something we can do there?
Yeah, both
That's gonna
softball and
bring folks
baseball,
in.
yeah, both softball and baseball want facilities that are nice, easy on their, patrons. Obviously if they have turf, that's another benefit, but,
From a baseball standpoint, they like the true hop and that
The
kind of
turf.
stuff.
Well,
no doubt about that, yeah.
Here's what they say with the turf, having the turf, for your travel balls. They saying that from the time it rained to back playing again is the biggest plus. Okay, from the weather comes in and you can start back playing in about 15, 20 minutes, you back playing, so somebody trying to get the field maintenance together on that. So that's some of the things that some of the difference of it,
Getting their uniforms clean, I guess. and
So
stuff.
that's, mothers, that's the biggest thing.
Yeah.
Their pants don't get as dirty.
Yeah.
But again, that's something minor.
Well, what we need to do, Willie, I guess, is you got a board.
Yes, sir.
Y'all sit down and figure out 1, 2, 3, 4, what we need to do, and we'll start getting some pricing on it, and then we'll see where we go with it. Kinda like what we talked about on all this other stuff.
Yeah, I mean, as a rec board member, I'm happy to, participate in, Darren's got his ideas of what, safety to this, to that, but it sounds like you guys are moving with something, but that's kinda how we look at it. What's a safety concern?
Right.
What makes it more attractive, and, what's that really big one?
Well, we spent a lot of money out there for the years, and if we can attract some travel ball, play on our campus, then that's gonna bring people in who spend the night, 2 or 3 nights, maybe, sometimes, eat in our restaurants, spend money with us. And it might be, we might get, in a few years, it might pay for itself to do some of these things. But we gotta start out with what we can afford to do, and the safety thing, I think, is the
Yeah.
number one thing, and then from there on.
Mr. Mayor, I forgot one thing, sorry to interrupt.
Sure.
They finished 2 projects at the gym. They've replaced the floor, and they've, replaced or renovated the
Air
roof.
conditioning.
Now that it's the air conditioning, now you have a new basketball floor in there. The ability to not control humidity and climate could jeopardize that floor, not to mention.
Well, we just
nobody
gotta
wants to
do
play
that.
basketball when it's that hot.
If you're gonna use it in the summertime, you can't stay in there without air conditioning.
There's a lot of children that use that,
Yeah.
and teenagers during the summer.
Yeah, that's just something,
Yeah.
that's just something we gotta do.
Hey, Willie, how big is your, grounds crew for Johnson Park or sports period?
Well, conjunction with, we use, planners as well with us. We have, 3, staff that's on the ground, but we also, use some of Andy's planning developments.
And Billy, the mayor touched on tournaments. How many tournaments do we host a year with travel ball?
So the travel ball's pretty new, and Willie can probably correct me, but, I know, past spring, I wanna say we may have hosted 1 or 2. This fall, we tried to host 3, 1 got rained out. And then this spring, I believe they've already committed to
Got committed to 4.
4.
We've done a better job in that area. Matter of fact, in contact with Travel Ball USA, what they do is 18 different cities, and they put it out on their web, and people sign up to come to the tournament. If it makes, then they have it, is how that works. But we got a hold in with them right now. Matter of fact, that's Travel Ball guy calling now. We got a hold in with them, to get tournaments, so.
Okay, that's great. I just think that, for as much money as we spent out there on those facilities and and what we're talking about additional spending, we need to get as much revenue off of it as we can.
Yes, sir.
And the other thing we'll talk about a little bit is, a political issue, but I know that the county folks are interested in maybe partnering with us in some way. I think we need to pursue that and see what they've got in mind. Cause we may be able to do those other things if we've got another partner with us, and we've been so successful in all these projects, or most of these projects that we've done by attracting private, partners, most of the time private. But if we could get the county to partner with us on Johnson Park at least, we could really fix it up so it would be attractive to these folks to
And
come.
we do have an issue with, which we were able to solve it this year, but it's a good problem to have. Every year we have more and more and more kids sign up for all these sports. Which means we're slowly outgrowing our space to have these events.
Yeah.
And of course, that's, almost every sport we play within our rec department has participation from county children and the city of Andalusia, which is great.
Yeah.
That is something that if the counties, want to discuss, that's kind of my opinion, hurdle one is how do we plan for the growth of these leagues and, the swim teams, same way with county children. How do we handle that growth and,
Who pays
who's
for it?
chipping in to do what? Correct, yeah.
One thing is well, in 2027, went to a state meeting, last month, December. In 2027, it's on the docket that we will host the state tournament. Every state tournament in the state of Alabama, state tournament will be held in Andalusia, somewhere around about 80 teams. It's something that's been on the docket we've talked about. They've already, from the Beirut side of things, have said, hey, we'll come to Andalusia. Which
We gotta get busy then.
That's correct, and some stuff got here. So that's been talked, and we do got the 8-year-old state tournament that will be here this coming up year.
Do we have adequate hotel space
Well,
when we host these tournaments?
You do, but you don't. Here's why you do the don't part, Councilman Powell. What happens if we went and played in a state tournament, you go and play in Mobile, which the distance probably about 20 minutes away, but with the traffic you're gonna go in county, you're still about 45 minutes away. So you get a chance to use all the way from Greenville to Enterprise back this way with the tournament. So that's why. Cause now, and again, talking to the hotel guys, the franchise we have here, they like it for us to have them because it does pack out ours locally. The thing that always, that we even look at when we send our kids off to play, we look at indoor motels. Those are things that we're looking for. So, but we do, it's pretty neat. And people don't have a problem with the traveling part of that.
And Darren, I'm not
Yes, sir.
familiar with swimming.
Yes, sir.
Because my kids are never really involved in that. When you have swim meets, are they 1 day, 2 day?
There's a difference. When you're talking about the USA, kind of the travel side, works the same way, where they're usually 2 or 3 day events. If we're talking about strictly on the summer side, our
Right.
park rec, that's typically just a 1 day event. Like you see online with all the tents and everything out there, that's a 1 day thing, bringing in Crestview, Panama City, Eufaula, Dothan, Troy, whoever.
Is there the possibility of having swim meets
Yes, sir.
that regularly,
Yes, sir.
that would be 2 day?
If
3
we
day
could
events?
just simply fix up that facility, because right now, not to touch it, but we were here one time and we had issues with the bathrooms with everybody there. Things like that are gonna pull people away.
Right.
But if we fixed up that pool, even right now, we're out there until December. I have kids out there. No heat, no nothing. They're still swimming out there. Now, we could hold meets basically up until October, November-ish, because beyond that, not having a heated pool. If we did insert that, even if I heat it for the 1 day for the meet, we could go beyond that, because there are Destins and that kind of stuff where to Panama City, they are outside and they are holding meets through the year. strictly because they have that heat system.
Right.
So yeah, you could go into 2-3 day meets. You could do them on a monthly. You could do it more often if you wanted to.
See, to me, if you're gonna have the meets, it's a real benefit to our businesses.
Sure.
To be able to have
Absolutely.
a couple of 3 days versus,
Absolutely.
just
And when
drive in the morning, leave in the evening.
And when you're talking about the ability to bring in 400 kids, which is not including their siblings and parents
Right.
and grandparents that come along for the rides and everything involved with it, it can be substantial.
Right.
I mean, it's substantial. Just when I handle a little park rec meet, that we have out there, there was 350 to 400 kids just for that one. So that could transfer over as long as we had the ability to.
Okay. That's good to know.
Yes, sir.
Okay,
And we've talked about swimming and baseball, but I'm gonna throw out my shameless plug. My kids are big in soccer. So, I would love to see some improvements around, soccer, and maybe if we do the expansion at Johnson Park.
Yeah.
More soccer fields. There's a newly formed, soccer club here in town, Andalusia United, that we've already played tournaments in Opelika and elsewhere. And there is interest to, if we have the fields to support a tournament, to have and there are 2 to 3 day tournaments here in Andalusia.
The numbers are pretty substantial in soccer.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
We've not seen, just real quickly, what are the, in terms of numbers, baseball, soccer, what?
That's right. Baseball, soccer, basketball, and, baseball and softball go together.
Yeah.
So they're the one at the top, and then we got, soccer.
let me ask this question. Is baseball and soccer played at the same time of the year, or is that?
Rec soccer is a fall sport here.
That's correct.
Now, travel soccer is year round.
Because the reason I ask that, at our high school, we've got a field that's marked up for soccer.
And that's the only regulation size field
Yeah.
in the county that I'm aware of.
That didn't have backs. We did that for that very reason. So we've got a artificial turf, soccer field with plenty of seating and plenty of parking and,
And when we talk about, when we talk about all this stuff, travel ball, travel sports, it's the way of the world now. It's just what everybody does. And when we're talking about, we want to become a leisure type town, nothing's going to bring in more than investing in these kids and these facilities.
How many soccer fields would be required to host a tournament?
Probably double what we have now.
So 2?
Yeah. Now, I mean, we could put a cap on how many teams enter a tournament to
Right.
prevent that, but, I mean, it's,
But the more you have, the better
Yeah.
it is for the town.
I mean, my 11-year-old, we played a tournament in Opelika first weekend in December, and we played at 3 different complexes. And because it's from 6 all the way up to 18.
well, you think about this, if we took that field that we call
Is that what it is?
yeah, and put artificial turf that's football size and soccer size, and then you also have the one at the high school, that would give you 2 full-size fields that are soccer, that are artificial. Those artificial turf, it depends on how much play they get, how long they'll last.
Sure.
But I'm on the board at Troy University, and I know, I think about every 10 years, we have to replace this. So it gets expensive, to have that. They don't last forever. They're out there in the sun, they're hot. That's another thing about artificial turf, really hot. And, so in the summertime, it would be difficult. Put little ones out there. That's-
I know LBW is about to turf all their fields. I have no idea what the cost is. Willie, have you talked, or Billy, have y'all talked to Brock?
I've seen it on and I can't remember what the number was.
I know it's not cheap, but I mean, they're turfing their football field, baseball field, and softball
Will
field.
their football field be a little bit bigger possibility for soccer play?
We've talked about it, yeah.
What about the counties? They host tournaments in Andalusia.
You know, I drove by that the other day and I thought about that. I mean, that.
They got room down there.
Yeah, the
You'll
infill
live
of
in
that
it.
would be big enough, but.
I was thinking on the same thing of existing stuff, we have that, county cross-country track thing that they don't let
Yes.
Andalusia
Yes.
use, is that what you're talking
Yes,
about?
ma'am.
Yeah, and it's like, if we could use that,
Well, they have tournaments at Johnson Park from time to time, so I can, you know.
whose permission do we need? I heard it was theirs.
Shannon's.
Yeah, that's what I heard.
Shannon's.
Well, we got a lot of things to talk about with respect to, Johnson Park and the pool and, we're gonna have to figure out, which one, what we do first and how much it's gonna cost and who's gonna help us pay for it. And so we'll put that on our list to get busy with. Moving along, what about, and I don't know what Andy did, have a phone call, I see. What are the thoughts on a second splash pad?
That's something that could be incorporated into the park as we get towards completion. There's a plaza
Talk about
contemplated.
the Heritage Park, right?
There's a plaza, contemplated for the corner at, what's now Tisdale Street and South Cotton Street. And what will that plaza entail? And we get a little bit farther along, we'll be coming back to you for ideas about finishing that plaza out. And one idea is for a small, and not with any of the apparatuses like they're at the splash pad now,
Just
but.
board that's worked.
There you go, something that'd be fun for young kids in the summertime.
They've got one at Destin Commons, like
Mhm.
that.
Something like that.
Kids love it, they get out there and get soaking wet.
You can imagine the hot summer when there's
They, mama and I go in there and get them out. Soaking
They went
wet.
at Disney World 40 years ago when I took my son, there were just holes and the
Yeah.
water would just suddenly come out.
Yeah. That might be something that would be good in connection with Heritage Park, rather than, cause you have to go buy another piece of land to put it on, or take something we
It
already
wouldn't
got.
take much, and it wouldn't be near the expense. We
Yeah.
spent like $300,000 on the splash pad several years ago, if I remember right, so it wouldn't be anything like that. I don't know the cost of this, but it could be incorporated into this plaza at a very little expense.
Yeah. Okay. All right, we said, of course, we'll continue to, apply for A-Trip grants and, for different things, sidewalks, and improving, transportation in our city. We talked about workforce, housing, and we're still working on that, want to improve that. That'll be on our list, our new list, that we'll keep that on there.
Mayor, while we're talking about housing, could I?
Sure.
I brought an idea that I want to be able to share before this meeting is over.
I'm sorry?
I'd like to share my idea before
Well,
this
you can
meeting
share it
is
right
over. Once you've heard Lady Bird Johnson speak on Keep America Beautiful, like I did in 1966, I've been planting a tree or a shrub or a bush, and I brought back those ideas from Tuscaloosa to Andalusia about keeping Andalusia beautiful. We hadn't talked about beautification much in all this list, but I want to talk about these pictures that I took this very morning of some bungalow type houses. That people are having trouble paying for this, that, and the other, food, gas, everything. So we need to help Andalusia be more beautiful in some of our lower value neighborhoods. We want Andalusia to look good as people ride around different neighborhoods. This man has got all these pictures showing junk. It's all junk that can be moved, and the houses would look much better without all the junk. This man even hid his junk.
Is that the black plastic?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a better.
And then, of course, we passed by this one, that this is something that abatement won't take care of completely. We had, an emphasis maybe in the spring about clean up, paint up, fix up. To help people, maybe we can offer some kind of incentives to help people. Some of these are vacant and some of these are occupied.
Well, we have.
I think it starts even in the high school, if we had courses like family living, where you could have, teach children how to make up a bed, how to grill out, how to buy groceries, how to, do all the things to make their family have a better quality of living. So we talked about quality of living, but beautification is something that maybe we could start giving those awards again. You know, the awards always get given out to the bigger house neighborhoods. But maybe we need to start emphasizing and working a little bit on the smaller house neighborhoods. And get some people together and talk about how we can help people. They need help. A lot of people, they just need help, they need ideas. Maybe they just haven't thought about getting stuff off their front porch. So that's what I wanted to mention, that we could put beautification on the list for the next 4 years and help keep Andalusia beautiful and make Andalusia a more beautiful place to live and ride.
Well, that's a great idea, and we've worked really hard trying to do that, and we've made a lot of progress. Unfortunately, there are folks out there that don't care what their place looks like. A lot of them are renters, and they let the houses go down, and the owner doesn't repair them when the repairs are not needed. So we work hard on that, but we have to conform with the law, and our hands are tied in some respects on doing these things. We work real hard.
I'm gonna leave these right here.
An
Everybody
example,
can look at it.
yeah, an example of that would be, if you drive down, thanks for your suggestion, so, but if you drive down, South Cotton Street, you cross the railroad track, there on the left-hand side of the road, you remember how that used to look? That old garage, you're sitting there with cars stacked up on top of each other. We worked with that gentleman for 5 years. We finally got it done. So it just takes a lot of effort, folks that have no more pride in their own homes to make stuff look like that. But there's some ideas there that we maybe can come up some way of a group of citizens joining together, helping these folks. The city has limited resources and of course limited employees. And boy, our employees right now they work from can to can't. And just cleaning up other people's yards is not one of the things that I think we just can't afford to get into doing that. Now, that's not to say that we can't go where somebody's got health issues and things like that and help them out on one or two occasions, but you just can't take that on forever. The folks themselves have got to have some pride and do it. But I think the pressure, when the city goes in there and tries to put pressure on them to clean up, they resent it.
Well, we don't wanna do that.
So-
Pride is the key, that's the key
But
word.
what if it was something like the Pride of Andalusia or something, you know, but go to the lower things?
If we could put together a group of citizens that work with the city to help, so it takes some of that heavy-handedness off. People think we're trying to make them do something.
Right.
If they think their neighbors are trying to help them do something, maybe it'll work better. So that's a good idea, but I think we gotta modify it a little bit. But, thank you for you.
You know, Mayor, one of the best rules that we ever passed was the greenscape, you know, where, industry comes in or you redo a place, you have to plant so many trees.
Right.
That has helped our city.
Yep.
And the city has spent a lot of money making areas around that are all enhanced by the beautification of flowers.
We have a staff that we enter into contracts with retailers. You'd be surprised, all those flowers and all those plants and all that stuff you see around, the city, downtown, all that stuff, all that's taken care of by the city. The trees, you remember what the square used to look like? 18-wheeler running through there 40 miles an hour. And we got a beautiful square now, a beautiful park there, and trees that have grown to the point that they're beautiful. We got those trees all over the city. Go and look at the front yard of City Hall. We've done a tremendous amount to beautify our city. Having said that, there's more we can do, and we should do that, which we can do. But by golly, citizens who create these situations have a responsibility too.
Some people, if I can speak, I don't know how these things work. I think there are some people, because I know over there on Rankin Street and all over there, they're probably low-income people. And even if they're renters, but most of those houses up there, there's nothing on the walls, the roofs are gone. Is there anything to do to help them? You know, and some of them that's got the junk in the yard, some of them do that because they hadn't got any way to get rid of it. I mean, could the city help haul some of that off if we got up with some of them and they would agree to that?
If it's bad enough under the law, we can't do it. It has to reach a certain level.
A certain amount, okay.
Before the city has the authority and the city council has to make a finding that it's causing a danger to the public.
But even if we went and like some of those I think I saw that Sue had, they're pretty bad. And
well,
like, if you go and say, look, do you want this stuff? If you do, fine. But if you just don't have a way to haul it off, could y'all like send the garbage people over there and we get a group of people and go help them haul it off?
Well,
I mean, I don't see where the law would have much to do with that if they agree to hauling it off.
no, if they agree, that's
Yeah.
But the problem is getting the agreement.
I know that, but just like people that, can't get out there and mow their grass anymore. I have to get my son to come mow my grass.
Yeah. I have to get my wife to cut out.
Sue, I have to ask a question.
I'm being a smart aleck, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Sue, I would like to ask a question too on this thing. How many of those houses are actually owned by people who could afford to do it? I mean, we're assuming here that.
That's the problem all over town. That's why if we could get some people together and come up with some ideas to help people. People can be helped. If we can start off with teenagers in the school, before and after pictures, talk about educating people to take pride in their homes. But there are a lot of things that can be done. It's not just the city wanting them to do this or that.
Yeah, you can't go
People
in
don't
there and
want to
make,
be
you can't
treated
make
like
them
that.
feel
I
like
think the
they've
mayor
got
had a
to
good-
do
I
it.
think the mayor had a good point there. When the city does it, it seems heavy-handed.
That's right.
Mayor, is there something we could do like the mural committee or something?
Well,
Which was private?
I suggested that, we got 50 churches in Andalusia, Alabama. That could be helpful.
And that could combine that litter initiative too, right? All of that
See.
beautification.
What I'm trying to
Call
say is.
me, I'll help you do
some of this
that. I'll
stuff
help you.
that we're talking about here has got to come from the people, not
That's
from the
right.
government. Because it's just, it just does, but people resent, somebody from the government, You know, they're coming here making me do this.
Yeah.
But if we can get a citizens group or a group of, organization created by, a makeup of, 20 churches.
Faith-based community.
Yeah, to put something like this together. It might, I think would be more successful than the city trying to,
Right.
because it has to reach a certain level before we can do anything. By the time it reaches that level, it's a mess. And, we can get the number for you, but the number of abatements that we've done in this city in the last 20 years would shock you. Hundreds. But still, we got places that are.
Well,
in
people
bad
that
shape.
came, and like I said, I think a lot of people, maybe they just gave up, I don't know,
Well,
or they just, like, they're elderly
Well,
and
there's
they
some
piled this junk in their yard and they hadn't got any family to help
Well,
them
they
with.
bring it in there. so
Well,
they
I'm
can-
sure they do, Earl, but,
You remember several years ago, the governor that we had got communities to pick up along a certain stretch of the road.
Mhm.
That might be an idea, let a church adopt a mile, right, and let the churches maybe adopt certain areas.
well, you could approach the homeowner or the renter and just ask them, point, like I said, if they don't want you to do it, they can say, no, you don't do it. But if they need help and they want help, make it, like what Sue was talking about, let's get a group, to help them
Well, you
with
got to
it.
get that group together.
Well, we're gonna work on
And
it.
well, and that's great, because the city can't do it all.
Mhm. Oh, I know.
We got limited number of employees, we got limited number of funds. So, a citizens organization that gets involved in something like this might catch on, and be very successful.
And honestly, if
We
it was,
welcome.
if it was
I
to come
guarantee
from
you,
a city
the
aspect,
city
they
would
could
welcome
consider
Oh,
it
they would
harassment.
be
I mean,
like the president and everything else, they'd be up here, why are you doing that? That's not moving.
Yeah, but if it came from a city or a government position
But
where it's
if-
not up to a certain level, they could consider it harassment, so that's not.
Right,
for
but
them
I
to get
think
into.
if, like Sue was talking about, we
Yeah,
just got some
absolutely.
people, even the churches might help money-wise, some of them. And, just approach them, because there's a lot of people I know that are just not able to do it.
Well, I understand.
They may have let all this junk accumulate 5 years ago, and then, oh God, something happened and they can't do nothing about it.
I understand that, that's why I say.
But
create
y'all
an
ain't gonna be able to
idea.
do
Yeah,
it.
y'all, that's a great idea,
Mhm.
do it,
Mhm.
okay?
But what I'm asking
But-
though is like if we did get with somebody that was like that and they didn't have a way to haul something off, if we can't find somebody
If you
with a
can get it up
truck.
to the edge of the highway.
Yeah.
up the
Well,
edge of
y'all
the
go
street,
pick it up.
We will get that stuff.
Okay, that's what I
We do it
want.
all over town, when people bring it up to the edge of the street.
If you get it to the curb, I can get it up, I
Yeah.
just can't go on private property.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's the issue right there.
And
We
we
have
can
guys-
call and even let you know where it's at,
All
where it
street
won't
before-
sit
yes,
there.
Yes, ma'am, that's right.
Because the property over there behind where the new houses are going up, that needs to see if we can't get some of that cleaned up, because if you don't, it's gonna all, you got to help them get better.
I agree with you, and we can do some things, but I'm saying, I think it would, if a group of organized citizens who are interested in this, Sue, I'll appoint you the chairman of that.
I've done gave her my card so she can call me. I don't have nothing else to do since the
I
pool's
mean, I'm
off
not
the
trying to be
table.
silly, I'm trying to be, maybe cute, but truth.
I understand.
We got to have help from the citizens.
I
on some of this
understand,
stuff.
but then there's some of the stuff we've got to have help from
Well,
y'all to
and
accomplish
we can do that
it.
within the, what we're. bound
Within
by
the law, and I
Exactly.
understand that.
Yeah.
With the Home and Garden channel on television has made people aware of things that need to be done. And you'll see one or two houses that have been cleaned up, just say in Andalusia, in one street, and it kinda catches on. A
Mhm.
neighbor will
Well, it
say,
does.
oh, that looks pretty
Exactly.
good, and maybe I need to make mine look better.
It does, and that's what we've been able to do in some areas where we had the power to do it. But what you're talking about, where folks, stuff is just accumulated, they have no way of getting it done. And citizens can get in there and get it to
Help,
the
like
curb
on the hoarder,
and call.
the hoarder
If
stuff.
there's stuff, well, that's a problem.
Yeah.
That's a problem. That was my grandma's washing machine, I'm not gonna let you have that. I won't let you.
I might need that bucket over there next
that's
year.
exactly
I know.
Okay. Where were we?
We started talking about, the housing situation there, and I don't know if you wanted to take this up on the tail end, or if it'd be appropriate to bring it up now, but I think that, there should be, some emphasis placed on affordable housing. We're doing a great job now, I think, with the conventional and the workforce housing, but affordable housing remains a real tough issue, critical issue for Andalusia, and, we need to find some kind of way to address that.
Yep.
Well, I agree with you, and we'll try to crank that engine up. We tried a couple times before, it was unsuccessful, but we'll try again.
I did check recently to see if, the, mutual self-help housing funding was still available, and it is. And, I was assured by someone with the, state office of the USDA that if Andalusia is still interested in pursuing, mutual self-help housing funding, that they will be happy to assist Andalusia.
Give me a name and number, okay?
Is that like the Habitat for Humanity and stuff, something like that?
Give me a
Yeah.
name and number, and we will follow up on that. Okay, we kind of just been shooting from the hip here. Let's start,
Can I say just one more thing?
Sure.
This won't take but a minute.
Right.
We have some beautiful homes here in Andalusia. We have a lot of what I call bungalow homes. And those houses right in those pictures right there, most of those are bungalow homes, built in the 30s, some built in the 20s. With just a little TLC, people don't even know sometimes that they have a bungalow home.
Mhm. Sometimes all you need's a little
And
pot here and a pot there.
Andalusia could be a beautiful place. Look what that old couple's done over there in Laurel, Mississippi. Of course, that's taking a lot of money to do that, but still, we need to emphasize on what we have. We have some nice looking homes that were built here in Andalusia in the 20s, the 30s, not any in the 40s, late 40s, 50s, but the little small homes where people worked at the Alitex, all in that vicinity.
well.
We just need to make people aware of what they've got and to take pride in what they've got.
Well, that, again, I think it's got to come from the citizenry, not the government. We will do everything we can to help and support it, but our hands are tied to some degree. And our employees are working their rear ends off now, so we just don't have folks to do that. So we're gonna have to have help from folks like you, Sue, who has these ideas. Go to work on it, and we'll help you where we can. Because I agree, we've got some pretty old homes, but, if the folks don't take care of them, they won't be pretty forever, and that's a shame, because, what we're trying to do is to clean up some of this stuff so that a new house here and a new house there will start, like you were talking about before, start a movement of cleaning up a neighborhood. But we can't do that with a heavy hand, and it's just people's attitude. That's what it is. I want to go down our department heads. Start with our fire chief.
Yes, sir.
How do you see the next 4 years for your department, and anything that's jumping out at you that we need to be aware of?
Yes, sir. We've been able to do some really good things. I thank y'all so much. I'm very, very proud. The number of
class 3 fire departments in the state is small, the country is small. However, and it goes hand in hand with expansion and more things, especially like you talked about the possibility of a second station on the east side of town with the apartments out there and sausage out there, Saints Hall, assorted other things going out that way. There's gonna come a time where we will have to have a second station out there. As far as our ISO rating, right now, manpower is probably where we're stretched thinnest, where the most available points to be. What I'm saying is, with the expansion, it's gonna be tough to keep that 3.
Yeah.
And it's on a 5-year thing. At one point in time, there were consultants who would come in, work, used to be ISO reps and stuff like that, and they would see what your projections were, where it was going, and give you a plan to operate on. I've not been able to find that anymore. Now they want when your grading time comes around, they will make you a list of have-tos, recommendations to work towards, and supposedly will pause the rating to give you an X amount of time to meet that criteria before the rating is changed.
Right.
I would love to have a consultant if that was still availability, but I have not been able to find one yet to tell us what, because we were graded, the Connecticut was not up and running, so it is not listed in our coverage at this time. So, manpower and equipment, long term, right now, we're doing really well, and I appreciate it. There is an issue with wages, public safety, I don't want to say got into a bidding war over the last few years, but it's almost like that.
Yeah.
And so we'll have to stay competitive with that. And I've got some numbers I'm working on, I need to talk to you guys about, and I think Chief Hudson does too. But right now, it's so much better than it has been in the past. I thank y'all very much. And if anybody has any questions, how we do things or whatever, this ISO rating, how it breaks down, it is unbelievable. I think Mr. Nix I gave you the breakdown of it. If you want to go through and look, it's vast, but I'd be more than happy to show it to you.
Well, we've done a lot to the fire station
and equipment, and it's just
where the firefighters have to stay and live basically several days of the week or whatever, and at night. They have a decent place now.
It's so much better. Before, it was almost like being in a submarine. 6 guys in one bedroom, literally.
Yeah.
And, but we get compliments from people, not only know who they are, passing through the station.
Well, changing the outside of the building to me was a big step. All the inside's great.
Oh, yeah.
But now it looks like a fire department.
It
not
really does.
A garage.
Yeah. We get a lot of compliments on it, and it's so much better. We thank y'all very, very much. The guys that spend the night up there, I don't anymore, but for 30 years I did. And it is night and day different.
They said they missed your snore.
I doubt it.
Somebody else took your place.
Oh yeah, there's plenty. Next man up.
What about the fire trucks? How much longer useful life?
To be totally honest, we're not in very good shape. The one that y'all got for us a few years ago is a fantastic piece of equipment. I believe we paid $458,000 for it.
Right.
That same truck right now will cost you $1.2 billion in 5 years.
So
that
we're
is
looking
insane.
at how long do we have before we have to seriously consider?
We are operating with that truck. The next one, and then there's, stipulation, or not stipulation, but footnote here. It's actually a 96 model, but it has been completely redone. But the fact refurbed, the motor's been rebuilt, the pump's been rebuilt. It's essentially an 8-year-old truck instead of a 30-year-old truck. The next one is a 2000. It is not a custom pumper, it's an international, which is one like You can get a fire truck on it, you can get a garbage truck on it, you can get a fertilizer spreader, you know, you buy the cab and the chassis and then you put whatever. It is a 2000 model. And it's had a lot of work done, and it gets the vast majority of maintenance dollars spent on it because it just does it. And then the smaller truck that we, you know, we call it brush truck, Rex and that sort of thing, is top notch. I mean, it is. It's definitely, the ladder truck is, it's on its last leg. I've began looking into making some contacts about possibly getting a grant for one. The people I've talked to think that we probably should have a pretty good chance because we got mutual aid with Opton, Sanford, and Hopewell, and, you know, the surrounding areas. We currently has the only ladder truck in Governor County. And what we tell them, you know, this is what we got. The only way they do a grant is to replace an existing piece of equipment. So if you don't have a ladder truck, you don't get a grant.
Right.
We do. And it is, you know, it's still living, it's still working, but I mean, it's an 84 model, this is a matter of time.
If they tell us we have to move to a new station on the east side, how many trucks would we have to add in order to do that?
Well, it depends on how you broke it down, and it would also be a manpower thing. I believe you would need probably 6 people. And
But you couldn't just move a truck, all the truck.
Possibly, because our numbers are based on fire flow, manpower and everything, but not location. The time, to be able to put men and equipment on scene is where your mandatory would come from.
So it's not pieces of equipment, it's how quickly. you can get it.
Ideally, 4 men on a truck is considered an engine company. And we're unable to do that, we only got 6 people. So we lose points for not having full manpower on each truck.
Right.
But we gain points for having the equipment that is, you know, all the service records, everything passes every test it's supposed to do.
Right.
They're well maintained. But with any kind of piece of equipment, when it's 25, 30 years old, you know, it's inevitable, it's going to. So it's a balancing act. It really is.
Well, my question is, do we have one that reach the top of the new hotel?
Yeah. The only problem is it is the oldest one in the fleet, and it is.
That's the one you're talking about.
Yes, sir, ladder 25. It's an 85-foot platform. And now that's the ladder length, but you know, the truck's 12 feet high, so you're 97 feet. And I want to think it's 90 to the highest part of the street from the top of that building, something right around 90 feet, so we can get there. It wouldn't be easy, but it can be done. Yeah, we've seen those lulls, how they're done working in that alleyway.
Right.
You know, access is as big a problem as height. So, cause it's, oh gosh, you got outriggers that stick way out, and it'll take up that whole area to set it up. So, it's something we're gonna need. It's not, I believe in what you want, what you need, what you got to have, and you do it in reverse order. And it's not quite to what we gotta have, but it's definitely needed, and it will eventually work its way to the gotta have.
But short of catastrophic failure, we should be good for 2 or 3 more years.
I hope so. I think we can limp across that line, and if we, you know, if we could get a grant for a truck, that'd be great. That would help.
You know of anybody who, is a, fire truck grant writer?
I actually have some information that in my phone of a grant company that, 2 or 3 people locally, including a couple of volunteer departments, have got some grant trucks. In this
So we
area.
need to find somebody that really knows how to write.
Yeah, and you know, grant writer's one thing, but somebody that does that type of equipment constantly,
Right.
you have a much better chance.
Yeah.
So, I do have that information, yes, sir.
And find somebody that's been successful. doing
That's
it.
what they.
That's who you want you to help.
And you were talking about consultants, find out what a consultant would cost and what it's not.
Supposedly they're not doing it anymore. I don't know if that's right. I cannot imagine, that should be lucrative for somebody to retire out of ISO and go to your town and tell you what this is what they're gonna look at, this is what they need to be prepared for. Not finding that now. And, I have made, you know, personal friendships with 2 or 3 of the ISO agents in this area. And, one from down at Gulf Shores and one over at Pawtucket. And they'll tell you some things, but, you know, they're not going to break out the, good gosh, 100 whatever page our grading was and come down here and ride and look and this and that. They're not gonna do that. So, I get a little information from them, but not what I would like to have as far as being totally prepared for the expansion on the east side of town.
Thank you. Next, chief.
Well, Mayor, first I want to start out, just give y'all a few numbers to, tell y'all how things were last year. 2025, we answered 13,838 calls for service. Police officer was sent to a call that many times. Break that down, it's about 1,153 calls a month for our department. If y'all think about it, we work short staff pretty much the whole year. And these guys were able to get that done. It's what you're talking about, employees are working their tails off, these guys are too. Our burglaries last year, we had 49 burglaries in 2025 compared to 66 in 2024. So burglaries are down that many. The accidents were up. We had 487 accidents last year, 473 the year before. Homicides, knock on wood, we had 0. No murders last year, which was a great thing. We had 1 in 2024. Our theft of properties, we had 284 theft of properties last year compared to 337 in 2024. And then we get to traffic stops. We had 4,348 traffic stops last year. Numbers down a little bit, and we have, working short staff, we have 4,475 traffic stops in 2024. The officers issued 1,341 paying tickets, 217 warnings, a total of 1,558 either citations or warnings issued for that. That's about, about 30%, 33% of our call volume was traffic stops out of the 13,838 calls. So we had 555 arrests last year, and 34 of those were DUIs. So DUI could be alcohol, controlled substance, or it could be a combination of both. It just depends. But 34 of those 555 arrests were DUIs. If you remember, we were one of the first 3 cities in the state of Alabama to get the accreditation from the Chiefs Association Accreditation Program.
By the way, let me interrupt. Our chief was just elected as secretary.
Yes, sir.
Of the
Chiefs
state
Association.
Congratulations. So, congratulations, chief.
So me? Yeah. Right. If y'all remember also in 2024, December 24, y'all agreed to a purchase of a flock camera system, the tag reader cameras. All of those were installed around the middle to the end of November of last year, 2025. And since they've been installed, we've made 5 cases using those cameras. Cases involving one car went through, headed toward OP. We were able to notify OP. They stopped the car, arrested 2 people out of the car from Florida that had felony warrants on them. We had a stolen car here in town last week. It hit the cameras, was able to kind of narrow it down, be able to recover that vehicle. So those have been very useful for us in just a short period of time. You can see how useful those are. You touched on the camera system, the other cameras, something Andy and I talked about last week. Flock has a program where they can integrate our current camera system into their system. Now, we're gonna work on getting a price on that. I'm not sure what it is. What I do know about that system is, they give us a demo on it, and I'm gonna try to get it set up to get another demo, is they can take our cameras, and if we got a certain area we're looking for somebody, we can go in and put white male, blue tie, brown jacket, and it'll pull every one of those people in that area. And then we can narrow our search down that way. And that's just by integrating the cameras we already have in place. We don't have to buy their camera system, they just integrate our system into theirs, which will tremendously help us in our crime efforts around by narrowing the search. Now we have to sit and watch hours and hours and hours of video just to try to narrow things down. We can do it with our traffic cameras. We can put a white Ford pickup truck with STX with some kind of logo on it. It'll search those vehicles and pull all that stuff in for you. And
again, that's just integrating our system into their system. You know? And if I remember, I think we get a couple of cameras if we buy into their system. They'll put some cameras up anyway, but the 100 and some odd cameras we already have, we can integrate and use through their system already.
I've had this question asked of me several times. Why is it being published on some of these Facebook postings that Andalusia has a high crime rate?
I don't know where they get those numbers from.
I've seen on top 10.
A lot of them, they compare our city to Montgomery's and Birmingham's. We're all gathered, they all group them in one. When you do it per capita, we may have a bigger number than these cities who have 200,000 or 300,000 population. Our numbers may be higher because of the per capita. They don't group it in the category of the same, 10,000, 5 to 10,000 population. They group it together. So when you go per capita, yeah, it may look like we have a higher number, but they're not.
They are listed per capita. If you listen to them, it is.
So they don't do it the way it should be done.
Well, it certainly hurts our community.
Right. You just heard the numbers I read to you. Our numbers are down. That's not all of our numbers. That's just some of them.
Do you know who is doing that publishing? What is it?
I mean, there's several different fake news outlets and different things that they put all that together. And Michelle might know. She's worked with when you work in media. I mean, I don't know how they come up with that stuff.
I'll tell you offline who's putting it on Facebook.
Yeah, well, yeah.
But, I mean, it's just, you got several different ones who want to put that out there. And that's why I wanted to let y'all hear those numbers to say, our numbers are down. And, I mean, that's a great thing. And it's a pat on the back to our employees down there because they're working hard. And, we may have stopped over 4,000 cars, but we didn't write that many tickets. But we're not trying to be what they call speed trap. We ain't trying to be a speed trap. We're not trying to.
Let's talk a little bit about this photo tickets, citations, or whatever that we talked about at the council meeting the other night. Are we moving forward on that?
That'll be at our next work session, the 20th.
Oh, okay.
We'll have to get some legislation passed.
Yeah.
Representative Hammett's on board with us to get that done. And those, I mean, again, it's nothing to try to punish the community.
No.
It's just another tool in our toolbox to help us with enforcement.
Do you mind if I ask, would that be towards the elementary? Can I ask that?
We haven't got that far in the planning process yet. So.
We get, I get more complaints from citizens about people speeding and running stop signs than any other thing in this town, this city.
And
they say it's these people from Florida. No, it's people from Andalusia and Covenant County that's doing it. And,
I can tell you in my 31 and a half years of service to the citizens of Andalusia, the times I worked in patrol and we got complaints, you go work that area and you pull a car over, because I've done this, pull a car over and walk up there and the person's like, well, I should have known because I've been complaining about this. Pulling over the people who are complaining.
Yeah. Tell them about the daycare out 55, when we put the officers out there, tell them who they stopped.
So Guardian Angel and the academy, school, they were complaining about speeding down there, so we sent officers down there. Well, I think they said about 90% of the cars caught speeding was turning into Guardian Angel or to the academy. People who were going down there, the ones that were complaining. So, the ticket writing cameras, it's just gonna be another resource for us to use. I mean, there'll be, John, correct me if I'm wrong, the way these guys entered, the way they explained it, there'll be advertisements anywhere you come into town that there's photo enforcement in the city of Andalusia. When you get to the area where the photo enforcement is, there'll be more advertisement or signage that says photo enforced area. So you won't enter an area without knowing there's a camera coming up.
It's not secret.
If you can read, yeah.
Right. You have a license to shoot it.
Chief,
Yes, sir.
Chief, one other thing, explain, prior to the election, there was a lot of talk about people going to the beach and the speeding on the bypass. explain to the people here the dilemma and the safety problem created if your people start trying to apprehend those speeders on the bypass.
So everybody knows how congested the bypass, the west bypass will get during the summer. So if we get out there in our marked units and they try to turn around on a car to speed it, we create a bigger hazard out there trying to enforce that than what that car is creating, because they're gonna get out of town. We're creating a hazard. We can cause accidents, you know, and different things of that nature that is just a bigger hazard. Now, we can get out there and be seen and slow traffic down, but we also have other responsibility during the day than just stay on the bypass to work traffic. But what you're saying is we're creating a bigger hazard, trying to turn around in traffic, get out in traffic, you know, pulling a car over. 'Cause people sometimes don't really think when you get in behind them, you turn the blue lights on, they stop. But then they're gonna stop in the middle of the traffic. Now you back traffic up, cars trying to go around till you can get them safely out of the road. And then officers gotta get out and get in that traffic, you know, to walk up to that car. So officers are at more danger, other cars are at danger. So it just creates a bigger hazard for us. So, and to go back to what Darren was saying, you know, we're talking about putting those ticket cameras in that area over there. But again, we don't wanna be known as a city who's out here.
Yeah, it would be just something, just like you said, it's not, they're gonna know it's coming, but
Right.
at least it would slow down the traffic in that area.
Now, we
you know?
did,
How about a dummy car like River Falls does?
Yeah.
Oh, they do.
It works for a while,
But
we parked one in Mr.
passers
Mount's
through
yard.
don't know it.
We parked a car in Mr. Mount's yard, parked it out there, perpendicular to the road, and I think we left it there, what, about 2 weeks? I think? And it
2 or
worked
3
good
weeks.
for our out-of-town traffic, but
Oh, yeah.
local people, again, the local people realized there's nobody in that car, so guess what? They didn't slow down. So the problem is not our out-of-town, it goes back to what the mayor was talking about with this housing. So our citizens have to abide by the law just as much as the out-of-town folks have to abide by the law. So we put some responsibility back on our citizens to help us with that too. I mean, it's just, we wanna do the best we can for everybody, and I think our numbers show that. If crime is down, we gotta have help from the citizens.
Well, here's what I know. When I go through Brantley, Alabama, I slow myself down. And everybody else does too.
I've
So
made 3 of those
they're
over the
affected,
years,
you know, I mean,
college and stuff like that.
they're
You know, I
affected.
put my cruise on 35 through Brantley, and I have not had a car pass me in that stretch
Yeah, I know.
the whole time.
But once
There's
you
one in
get by
Kinston
there,
now, too.
They take off.
All right, well, and a few other things that we're working on, working with Andy, the thing we brought it up, maybe last councilman on there. Now that courts has moved to their new area, we're looking at moving our dispatch center into where the old courtroom was at.
Yeah.
And it would be something similar to a small real-time crime center, something you see in bigger areas. We wanted to set it up where we have the monitors, you know, kind of like that monitor on the wall behind you, but we'll have them all around the room to pull up the cameras that we have around town, especially in our problem areas and different things, and dispatchers can keep an eye on those cameras, and if they see something happening, they can go ahead and get an officer in route, maybe before you even get a phone call. And we've been able to do that with some of the stuff we have now, you know, down off the tracks, we kind of keep them, you know, when they first opened, we had a few problems, so we started monitoring the parking lot a lot. And, you know, something started happening, they would get an officer out there before anything could happen. So that's what we wanna do with our dispatch center, and hopefully we can get started on that pretty soon. So that'll be something we wanna try to get done in these next 4 years, is something of that nature. And like I said, be a small, real-time crime center that we can keep up. And we'll have cameras for the school system in there too. If we have a problem at school, we pop those cameras in.
That's one question I wanted to ask you, and we have a school board member here with us tonight. You see this almost every week now, shooting in schools, guns in schools, nuts going in and trying to shoot it up. Are we doing enough in our schools to make sure that I mean, you can't make sure nothing's gonna happen, but you gotta be prepared for it if it does happen. Are we there? Are we lacking? What needs to be done? What thought about?
I mean,
You know, they've run some drills here a couple of times this year, the drills went really well. I mean, like you said, we can't always prepare, we don't always know what we need, but I think we're in good shape. We got an officer at both schools. They said they did some stuff down at the elementary school. If y'all, the ones who've been in the elementary school, you go in the main door, and it just took you all the way down to what they call town square down there.
Yeah.
But now they put a wall up where you gotta go in the office instead of going all the way down to town square.
Can't go through there.
Right, so the schools have done that, they'll beef up the security there, so.
Doors are locked too. I mean, you don't
Doors
just
are
walk
locked.
in anymore.
Yeah, they're keeping the doors locked.
So they're doing a better job of that than because it had been
Got buzz
long
in
ago,
and
I could go
out.
there and just walk in any door I wanted to.
Right. Yeah, we had a situation, 2 days into the school year, 3 days into the school year or something. And this wasn't anybody from around here, we narrowed it down as that, seen the, what's it called? Can't remember what's called now. It's happening all over the country, that's calling it school threats. We had it happen here.
Yeah.
And, school locked down, I mean, everything went as good as it could go. And, we cleared that scene, figured it out, and, didn't have any issues. So, I mean, I think we're in a good shape. Got school resource officers on both campuses. We could probably use another one on the high school campus because it's so big, but finding police officers right now is hard enough to do without trying to put them in specialized areas right now. So what we have, our officers do periodic walkthroughs to help school resource officers out, just to have an extra person seen.
Well, Andy, let me ask you one question. Have we installed all of the, security cameras that was purchased with corporate relief money?
Yes.
They're all installed now?
Yeah, and we're still working on installing some more at different parks and different locations. Now that we've got our fiber up and running all over town, it makes it a lot simpler, so, yes. But we're still adding them daily, so, well, not daily, but we can.
Chief, anything else that you?
And I think Andy and I was talking about, we're looking at some more improvements on the outside of the police department building. Kind of like what they've done with the fire department with the facade around the top. Maybe paint that building and make it a little more, appealing instead of that dull yellow brick.
Yeah.
Some of those things that we're looking at, so. Other than that, again, I echo what the fire chief said, we appreciate what y'all have done as far as the pay raises and things of that nature to help us keep our staff up. Police department, police officers it's a nationwide problem for shortage of officers. It's not just an Andalusia or Covenant County problem. And every time y'all do something for us, it seems like somebody down the road will do something, and it's like, kind of like a bidding war.
Yeah.
And, so it's just back and forth, but y'all are doing a great job keeping us as close as you can. I think we got some good things coming, we're gonna keep working on. I guess the only other thing, training center out there, I hadn't talked to Russell about this, but it's something that I think we could probably do in the next, 4 years maybe is incorporate some fire stuff out there, maybe a new rappel tower, firehouse, smokehouse or whatever, like it was at the old facility. We got plenty of room out there to do stuff like that, and we could have, we might have to change the name of the place to police and fire training facility or whatever, and host as much training as we could out there. Police department, fire department, and we do stuff for Cole and them and the street department now, but we could make that place pretty big. That would be something we'd also need to hire an employee to try to keep the place up, keep booking going on and things of that nature. But I'd like to see maybe something, we start looking down the road for that. Have a regional training area for the fire department to host stuff and those things like that, so.
Getting other departments in and using our stuff is for training, yeah. Okay, Andy, planning and development?
Well, a few things, not everything, but one of the things after we finished our comprehensive plan, now it's time for us to look at our zoning ordinance. We have several things that, tiny houses, Airbnbs, a lot of different things like that. Lot sizes, things like that have changed over the last 20 years that we need to take a strong look at, just basically updating the overall ordinance. Another thing we'll look at is probably business license. They have not been updated, and I'm not sure how long it's been. We still have baby diaper service in our ordinance, so, but not a drastic overhaul, just basically changing the verbiage and putting things in the categories that they need to be in. And that's two of the biggest things. Touch on staffing, we're working on getting staff back up, but, you know, like again, the raise that you guys, you know, gave is really gonna help a lot, especially in the people I work with. You know, that is, anyway, and I've talked to the mayor and the chief and John, about this as well. Not all growth is good growth, and some of it goes back to, you know, the beautification thing, people moving in and they don't take pride in where they live and what they do. The mayor mentioned 100 abatements since we started, it's probably in the tens of thousands. Yeah, we do 100 a month, of different kind, you know, but that's one of the things that we're gonna have to look at is, as we continue to grow, we're gonna look at the possibility of needing another abatement officer. You know, with everything we've got going on, it's difficult to stay on top of everything. You know, but outside of that, that's just a few things that, you know, we plan on working on coming up, so, while we'll be getting back with you guys. So,
Council members, you got any questions for Andy?
I just had a situation that, was realized recently, Mr. Mayor. I've been contacting the Recreation Department about maintenance of our, parks, recreational facilities. And Recreation referred me back to maintenance. Well, that's a maintenance responsibility. It's not, we don't do any maintenance of our facilities. Nobody's maintaining them. And so we need to delegate someone to take care of our parks. I mean, we have some nice parks in the city.
well, we have taken care of that. We've, you know, since that was brought to our attention, now the people, the two gentlemen that maintain the parks are, you know, they're answering the willing now. So, that's where we started out. And Mr. Edwards has, opportunity to contact the other grounds people if he needs them for assistance. So we're gonna see if that helps alleviate that problem.
Where are we on, the further development of Robinson
Robinson Park, yes, sir. They should start that work in February. The contract's been let and awarded, and, they plan to break ground maybe the second week of February, first or second week. Can't remember right off the top of my head, but that'll probably take about 4 to 6 weeks, to accomplish that. Then we'll have a little extra work to do to it as far as integrating the parks that, like we talked about. It may take a little longer to get everything, but it'll be open, I would say, within 6 weeks after they.
Well, we're gonna have a real issue out there, or could have a real issue with parking. There's very little parking down on that level.
Right.
We're gonna have to look at that and see how we can.
Well, we have parking around the adult activity center as well, but we are gonna have to look at maybe extending, we just have like the two.
Yeah.
We may have to extend that.
Yeah.
To make sure we have adequate parking, and that's something that we've looked at and we've discussed, but that's not part of the grant.
But once that new equipment's up and running, I think you're gonna see
Yes.
more folks out there, which is fine, but.
Go back, we just finished Candyland, to prepare y'all for this, to be thinking about. We don't have the numbers back yet. I guess Michelle, she'll get them before long. But, our plan is to move everything here at City Hall to New Heritage Park next year. So one of the things we're gonna have to look at, a lot of stuff we've used it for many, many years. So, it's starting to deteriorate and break down. So there's gonna be some expense involved. What that is right now, I have no idea. I hadn't put me and Michelle just started working on some of this morning. And, but that is gonna be something that we're gonna have to take a look at. I'll share this with you. So Richard Moore, we talked about the shelf life and things. I talked about it with John and Michelle and, different people. You know, a lot of things have a shelf life of like 10 years. And we're in the 12th year, and our numbers were as good this year as they've been in the past. And one thing about it is the number of people that I met this year, that this was the first time they've ever been to Candyland, actually blew my mind. I'm like, well, we hadn't been doing this for 12 years. Y'all just now, well, we just heard about it, you know, and, which is good, because if we doubled the crowd, we couldn't handle it. But moving into Heritage Park, you know, I think the flow and everything will be better. We will start that, planning sessions just as soon as probably next week. Start laying everything out, and, you know, as we continue to finish up Heritage Park. Hopefully Heritage Park, as the mayor said, the first phase, we're hoping that, you know, we're ready to open that, you know, mid-spring, late spring, you know. That's my hope, knock on wood. I can't control the weather either, but, that's what we're looking at with that. So, you know, I'd like for y'all to keep in mind that moving it to Heritage Park, it's gonna be brand new. It's gonna be fresh, new, and it's gonna be like we just started again with the people that are used to this. And it's gonna be spread out. I don't think it'll be near as congested. So I think it's gonna bring new life back to it. So speaking of that shelf life, I was wrong 2 or 3 years ago when I said, well, it's fixing to start falling off. And I'm wrong sometimes, and I was this time. And so I think, yeah, right. I think that by moving it to Heritage Park, I think you're gonna see it's gonna be brand new, you know, so.
We're gonna keep Springdale decorated, aren't we?
We'll keep the house decorated.
That's what I mean.
Yeah, but we won't have all the cottages and all. We'll still do the fence and keep the house decorated. You know, we did that before we ever moved over here.
What about your skating?
Well, it'll go to Heritage Park.
How you gonna move that concrete down there?
Or not, I'm gonna leave it there. That's what they use for July jams out there, so.
So
But
you're gonna have a new concrete?
yes, sir, if you,
Okay.
on the plans, on the backside, there's a pavilion, and, so what we'll do is we'll build a new pavilion out there, large enough to put the skate rink in, and that way it's there.
Serve two purposes.
Yes, sir, whenever we need it, so.
Does the bear slide go down there?
Yes, sir, and, what we've talked about, and I think we talked about this a little bit too, is, been working with Cole to help me lay everything out over there for the slide. And once we move it over there in the summertime, what we'll do is we'll buy our, before Candyland, before Christmas, we'll get those little croaker sack slide things like you see at the fair, and which kids love it. And we'll set it up permanently, skirt it basically, and that thing's made out of galvanized piping, and so it's not going, it will withstand the weather. And all our decking is marine grade leather, marine grade wood decking, and we'll make sure we keep it painted, so it should have a pretty long lifespan.
Plus it saves you a month of labor.
Oh, absolutely, yes, ma'am. The most exciting thing about moving Candyland to Heritage Park is, you guys understand, we got the Veterans Day thing out here on November the 11th. We can't even get started really except for the slide. That's the only thing we really get started with until after Veterans Day. And that gives us 2 weeks. Exactly. And because we like to have it up and running for Thanksgiving, so when everybody comes home for Thanksgiving, at least they can come see it. And that's one exciting thing, not only for our employees, is that down there, we can get started a little bit sooner and not have to work 6 and 7 days a week to get it up and running, so that's exciting.
All right, anything else from council member, Andy?
Do we have, any other beautification spots that we're working on, or, as far as enhancing?
Not like enhancing, most of them not right at the moment. In the springtime, they'll start re-bedding and cleaning and all that stuff. Typically, a lot of, like we do, as the mayor mentioned earlier, we get easements from different companies and stuff. I know one of the projects that we still wanna do is in front of the B, along the sidewalk, between the fence and the sidewalk. We've talked about it for a while. That's on the list of things, is to take that out and, plant that in flowers, you know, along there and enhance that.
I know Andalusia sign, y'all got it painted and all.
Yeah.
It looks better.
Yeah, yeah, we've done that, and the one at the cemetery and so, yeah.
Okay, Cole, new man?
No, I haven't been here very long, but, about 2 months, but, from what I've seen, it's, manpower on my side. I'm trying to get it up to where it needs to be. I need a few pieces of equipment that I've noticed that I'm looking maybe to get maybe the next couple of years on that. And I got trucks, garbage trucks, and I'm gonna have to renew in 27. I know there'll be 2 of those that we'll have to look into. And, probably 2 to 3 trash trucks is what, you know, the next couple of years that'll be on our side. My guys were thankful for the raise that they got. Most of them all come up to me. I appreciate y'all making that happen for them. Just sidewalks, I know there's a lot of sidewalks with the, underground stuff done. We're trying to get to a lot of that. Curbing, and I've talked to a couple of council members about some paving that's gotta be done.
So you don't leave this one out?
What you got?
I have not talked to you about it in the paper
Yes.
yet. Hold on, let me, please.
I know I got a couple jobs, Meadowbrook I gotta get to, just trying to learn the ropes, and we're gonna make all that happen for y'all.
We're gonna get that turnaround fixed.
Yeah, we looked at it, yesterday. I'm gonna get them to locate it and get the equipment over there and get it started.
There's a lot of, drainage easements
Yeah,
around town that have grown up.
Yeah.
That we have done a poor job as a city of maintaining them.
I wanna get those cut down
Have
and
to-
see about spraying, see what I can spray and what I can't spray, to keep the weeds down, to keep the
Right.
grass, grass there, to keep erosion down on that, so that is one thing we've been looking at and gonna get a game plan on.
Okay.
All right. Ty?
Hey, I don't, today, I don't have any recommendations at this time. Looking forward to answering your questions.
Ty, you knew me now.
Yeah, we blame things on you.
That's right, yeah.
The big kid.
Okay, Willie?
Well, we've already talked about Parks and Rec, extensively already, but, unfortunately, we are grateful for the raise that we did receive. We're still yet trying to, make provisions for the growth in our sports, which is doing well. There's things going on at, Will Coleman Center that have not went on in the past. I think it's going well. We've, opened up Will Coleman on Monday, Tuesdays, and Thursdays, for pickleball, and also we do, some, Zoom over there as well. So it's going well. Mayor, we know that there's a lot, in Parks and Rec, continue to grow, with our numbers. We've got to continue to make the growth ourselves. The other thing I was gonna share, I had a guy call me from Australia about soccer. Wanted to know, can you come over and put on soccer? And I will have a Zoom meeting with him tomorrow, with soccer and, Councilman Craig, to see what they offering and what they got to make it better for the city of Andalusia. We're grateful for where we are. We got basketball going on right now. Numbers in basketball have went up. Our numbers in volleyball, which is a new sport we started with our females, have went up in the last 2 years. So we're doing great things. We'll be getting together. We've got a rec board meeting the 13th, and we'll talk about some of the things we talked about today and bring a plan to you all and help us out, get the things that comes from you need.
How many pickleball courts do we have, Will?
We have, over there, we have one over there now that's inside, and we got 3 outside.
What's the ones over there at the Adult Activity Center?
Yes, sir. The COVID center. We got the one, the adult COVID, the adult center, we got, outside.
Yeah.
Of course, yes, sir.
So you have how many inside?
We got 1 inside.
Do you have a lot of people participating?
You have about 15 to 20 people.
That's more than I thought.
What is that, that's old man tennis?
Yeah.
Willie, is the wrestling a part of y'all? Is wrestling a part of y'all?
No, wrestling not part of us. We
Okay.
allowed them to come in the other day. They did a wrestling match first time in the city of Andalusia as well at Johnson Park facility.
Okay, any questions from the council before? Billy? John?
I don't have anything to add. I would say that, you covered the previous list and gone through that, and as you mentioned, Mayor, we tackled a lot of those things. I think there've been a lot of, additional ideas brought to the table. Michelle's taken notes and got all that stuff put down. If I remember the last 5 years ago, the last term was 5 years long. The legislature added a year to that term, that we would get all of these ideas on paper and circulate that amongst you. And then that's where your work begins. You've got to prioritize them and decide what goes at the top and task us with, then, monetizing or estimating the cost of all of those projects and getting back to you with that. And then that might shuffle your prioritizing of them somewhat. And then we got to finance them, we have to pay for them. So I think, unless I miss something, Mayor, that would be the process from here on out. So,
We've got a bond that we're paying off, or is that's utility board bond paying off?
we do have some out in the not too distant future paying off, and they're wrapped, as you know, so there'll be options as we do that too. So once we do the first things I described, then we can look at how we would like to finance it, what makes sense as we have bonds retiring in the future. And that sort of thing.
I want one thing mentioned, that we continue to pay down our debt.
And that is
more
something
than what we usually do.
That's always been a priority, and we have taken down more debt in the last 10 years at historic levels. So I think you're to be commended as a city council for doing that. You've been very responsible with taking out debt and being responsible with it and paying it down.
Well, auditors always compliment us on the amount of debt we pay down every year.
Well, I think we need to thank the taxpayers for providing us with the funds to give raises and whatever. We owe a debt of gratitude for them helping us be in a good shape as we're in. Taxpayers.
Amen.
Without the taxpayers, none of us would be here.
Right. I've got one thing that I want to bring up. When you had your accident, one of the issues that came up, and I won't call names, but we had one of my constituents who showed me pictures of his lawnmower tires when he would cut his grass. They were covered in cat feces. He couldn't even let his grandkids play in his yard. The neighbor had cat food delivered to their house by UPS, by the case, every week. They don't get along real well.
I can imagine.
Those cats, and I'm getting lots of complaints about cats. We're supposed to have a leash law for dogs. I don't know what we're gonna do about cats, but I know a couple of years ago, the school bus over in my neighborhood by the LBW Nature Trail had to sit, taking kids home, for the cats to get out of the road. there were so many. People feed the cats at the LBW Nature Trail. I've had blood on my front porch where cats have killed things. I've got a picture that the constituents sent showing 2 dogs killing a cat on his front porch in the last week or so.
We just need to get more dogs out there.
We do. It's something that I don't think that we can not address as a city. I don't have an answer for it.
I don't either.
But we need to
I
get
do.
a group together.
But we've got a buzzard czar.
Right.
Come on, Mayor.
Is that the parting shot, man?
I'm sorry, I'm trying to be, I know you're serious and I'm serious.
He's tired.
It's terrible.
It is.
But when folks are feeding feral animals is what they are.
Can I?
That's right.
And they're multiplying at a vast rate. They're living in our sewers. They're living in our, when I say sewer, our water drainage pipes and stuff like that.
They live at LBW in the drainage pipes,
Yeah.
because when I walked to college, I used to walk the sidewalks before the nature trail was paved, and I'd see cats running into the storm drains.
Right.
But it's something we've gotta take a look at.
Can I say something? I can tell you what a lot of the problem is. The problem is not the cats, the problem is the people. People don't spay and neuter the cats. And then our animal shelter. The animal shelter is not big enough to accommodate the high intake of cats or dogs. We need a much bigger, much better shelter. Now, the girls out there do the best they can. It is not a no-kill shelter. There are dogs and cats killed every day just because there is no room. We have an outside organization in Baker. It's called the Pup Stop Saving with Soul. It is a pet rescue, and it is amazing. They come up here several times. They were up here the other day, New Year's Day, pulling from our shelter and taking them to Baker and rehoming them from there. We have a lady in the other side of Dothan. Now, me, this hits with me because I take care of a colony. A lot of you in here already know this. Every one of those cats are spayed and neutered. They're taken care of. If anything goes medically wrong with those cats, they're trapped and they're taken to a vet. They've been vaccinated. There's a lady in Dothan. Her name is Barbara Seaman. She runs Felines Under Rescue. A lady out of Dothan now has paid all of the fees to spay and neuter all those cats. I had to do all the trapping and all the transport, but they're all spayed and neutered. If more people would spay and neuter their pets, then the problem would not be so bad. A lot of people are bringing them into town where a lot of these colonies are and dumping them there intentionally because they know they're there. So yes, it is a problem, but it's not, the cats are not the problem, the people are the problem. But
That's the case with most of our problems.
so is there any, so maybe something else on the agenda could be a bigger, nicer, some kind of funding for the shelter to help accommodate more of the animals.
And I've said this before, but we had a person that was working with us to build a new shelter and provide some property to us for it. He died. So now we're working, trying to get that back up and running and building a new.
Because there are a handful of us that take care of entire colonies out of our own pockets, just to keep them from going to the shelter, to keep them from getting euthanized. We rehome as many as we can for pets, and then we rehome as many as we can for barn cats.
One of the other things that and Greg has made me aware of this, when they feed these feral cats outside, it also attracts raccoon, wild dogs, snakes, all those kinds of things come to those feeders. So there's a just a mountain of issues associated with it.
Well, in 8 years, I've not seen a snake or a rat.
That we need to take a look at. So I'd like for us to.
And
He's raising his hand back there to say
So
something.
I've sent some information to Mark Christensen, the city attorney, to look at some ordinances that I found in different places that if we can prove that people are feeding the cats, drawing the cats in these areas, we can write them a summons for doing just that. They don't own the cat, they're drawing the cats in there and creating a problem, we can start writing.
okay, what about those of us that didn't draw them there? They were already there, and we just paid out of our own pockets to have them spayed and neutered, and we're just keeping them alive.
We just have to cross that bridge when the time comes, but we're trying to address the problem you're talking about. And a lot of the problem is people feeding these animals, and you may have one or two, then the next thing you know, you got 15.
Because I will say,
We're after those people to get them to stop doing that. We had a lady the other day, animal control officer picked up several cats from there, feral cats from her house. She went out to the shelter and wanted her feral cats back. That's how she told them. She wanted her feral cats back. And we're not giving the cats back. And I mean, I hate to be this way about it, but if we can't get them adopted out, then they get euthanized. And I mean, I hate to be that way, but.
and since I was able to have that whole colony spayed and neutered, I've only had like 2 additional stray cats show up, and there have been no new litters of kittens born in almost 2 years.
Well, one of the things, someone suggested that where they came from in Indiana, that they used to trap the feral cats, they would spay and neuter them, and then release them. Well, in Greg's case, those cats come back to his yard, and they do their business in his yard. You haven't helped his problem at all.
Do you feed them?
Oh, no. My neighbor did.
Well, she needs to quit feeding them.
Well,
that's what we're trying to target with these new ordinances, is to be
Yeah.
able to
If
make
you
the
feed
people
them, have to
responsible
feed them
for
inside.
creating the problem.
I feed my cat inside, and I feed my neighbor's cat. My cat and my neighbor's cat go back and forth. But they're spayed, they're neutered, they're taken care of.
So I don't have an answer for it. I just know that I'm getting a number of people in my district are complaining. And if you go around the restaurants in town,
Oh, I know it.
you find cats
It's an
everywhere.
Sonic's bad.
Parties.
All right,
I got one more question. Back last year, and the council approved placing a safe haven newborn box here in Andalusia. And it's my understanding that it's going to be at the cost of $25,000.
They got the money.
And
from what
Save
I found,
and Save a Life
and they don't
has
have
raised the
one.
money. I think they raised $18,000 on their own, and a private citizen donated the rest of the funds so that box could be installed here in Andalusia. So what is, you have an update on that?
well, we, go ahead, Andy. Andy knows more from the chief.
Chief
Fire
Glamour
chief.
and myself, we have met with them 2 or 3, 4 different times. On the surface, it sounds great. There's a lot of rules and regulations with. I think our last meeting, correct me if I'm wrong, Russell, that we asked them to talk to the hospital, the emergency room. And the city would even assist with, helping them do that. I've not since heard anything back. I don't know if you did or
I
not.
have not. On the
I
surface,
said no.
the thing, well, it can only be placed at a hospital, medical facility, and then that was amended to also include fire.
The fire department.
All right. Here's the problem from my personal standpoint, well, not my personal standpoint, just facts. That's all great. If you are in a place that has a little bit more resources, by that I mean, if we have a fire call tonight, let's say it's 6 o'clock, we may be gone from that fire department till the next morning. We have no idea. There's not a second or third station to, if there was an alarm going off, it's just gonna go off.
Okay, but will that alarm not go off also at the police department and the hospital?
No,
Why
I
couldn't
believe
it
that
be
What?
done like that, though?
I believe it will go off at the 911 office, but yet still, it's unattended. They're gonna have to send somebody over there.
Well,
They're gonna
why
have
would
to
that-
go inside the fire station. You can't access from the outside, you do the inside. They've got to go in, get that baby, and take it. There are lots and lots of things, there are very few places that can house it in our facility, maybe one because it's actually, air conditioned and heated from the inside of the structure that's mounted in. It doesn't have its own, of course. We run fire trucks in and out of that place all the time. It's iffy to not, for an infant to be left for an extended period of time in that atmosphere. We just don't have that type of space because they want it mounted, obviously, in an obscure place where there's some degree of privacy there. You know, nobody knows who left it and all that sort of stuff. Well,
But then hopefully you're not hoping to have to utilize it too many times.
no, and one of those things would be, you know, you hope it's never used.
Could there be an alarm though that would maybe alarm the hospital?
And 911 and the police department.
Hospital will not respond to it. They've already told us they will not.
911 couldn't dispatch the police department, the police couldn't respond?
Well, there you go again.
Wasn't there some,
There's got to be,
there was some rule about.
we were told there's got to be somebody present in the facility.
When the baby is
All
dropped
the
off?
time.
Custody or
That you-
whatever, is that the correct
that you
word?
can't
It's about the same thing with
Put the baby in there and leave, and nobody's there to see it.
Some requirement about EMT or paramedic.
Yeah.
That was another reason that if the hospital was a bit too, my word, public, housing in the fire department, in majority, probably all the bigger cities, some of the smaller ones, no, we assist EMS, we do all extrication, respond to all accidents and sort of that stuff, but as far as, my guys are not EMTs.
Could it be installed at the hospital where somebody would be there all the time?
Absolutely.
You said no.
That was the
Okay.
last meeting we had.
It's
Okay.
100% legal by law for it to
Yeah.
be at a hospital or at a fire department.
And that was before the Christmas holidays, we met with them and everybody, we come to a consensus during that meeting with the, baby box committee that we felt like it was best at the hospital. You know, instead
Well, they're
of.
medically trained, they're
Yeah.
always there, they're not gonna be gone at an unknown time
Right.
for an unknown period of time.
Yeah, somebody's on staff there 24/7, somebody's always.
Medically
there.
trained, that's where, obviously, the child would be taken to, no matter where the location of the box was, the end result, they're going to the hospital.
The biggest issue, I think, is the privacy of the person being able to drop it off without being identified.
Yeah,
Put hoodie
so, I fully understand where you're coming from.
We wholeheartedly agree
Oh, yeah.
to post it, but we can't. Our fire department is not staffed 24/7, and it's not an EMT there 24/7. And the hospital refuses to let it be put there at the hospital. So,
Right.
we're just not.
The 911 office was willing to do it, but the way the law right now is written, it's a hospital or a fire department.
can't do it.
That third facility is not listed as acceptable.
Cause 911 was in the middle of their rehabbing their offices and we talked to them, the chief and I talked to them about it. And they said, yeah, I mean, it's cause there's somebody there
24/7 staff is secluded.
They don't leave.
So basically, it's just dead in the water unless the hospital changes their mind, unless you come up with some other solution.
Unfortunately.
I'm not against it. It's just, it's far from ideal.
Okay.
There's a lot of cons to probably a lesser number of pros. I mean, it's a lot of things that would have to be worked out, and I don't know a solution for those.
Okay. Anything more from the council?
Well, Mayor, I have a little list, it's just be a recap, because I think most of the items that I listed have already been addressed. I'm gonna forward you a recent email that I received from, USDA regarding, mutual setup housing, that'll give you the contact persons you needed.
Okay.
Requesting, increased emphasis on recreational facility maintenance and upgrades and unlisted Kirkpatrick Park, Dream Park, Coleman Robinson, and Armstrong Lake. In addition to providing increased recreational opportunities as suggested in the 2023 master plan update. More prioritize street resurfacing to include 60 Baker Avenue, Manifesta, Jerry Drive, Short, and David Streets. And of the streets that I just enumerated there, on the manifest has been resurfaced since 1975. So those people are telling me, well, you know, it's good that, you know, you got the grant approved for the sidewalk, but we need our streets resurfaced more than we need sidewalks.
Well, we'll have another resurfacing round in this quadrennium, but, well, it's always, you never can get them all, you know. We have to get the ones that.
Since 1975, I think Cole, that somehow that ought to make a priority of those streets, because nothing has been done since they were actually installed. Implementation of, the project that we started, in the mayor's absence of Councilor Powell.
Right.
Identifying and paying recognition to the, former black-owned businesses along North Cotton Street. I'd like to see that, proceed to fruition. And I'd also like to, see the city expand on grant-making opportunities. One of the issues, one of the solutions to, the issue that Mr. Wilson, brought to our attention, there is a, housing rehabilitation grant available through ADECA. And for individuals that would meet the low to moderate income beneficiary requirements, they can obtain a grant. If they could come up with 25% of what it would cost to renovate or rehabilitate their homes, and the government would provide the remaining funding. That could be done citywide. So, and then there are also opportunities to expand on some of our recreation activities through the land and water conservation program. That would not compete with the normal ADECA grants or the TAP grants or the A-TRIP grants through LDOT. We just expand on some other opportunities. I think that every time there's an opportunity for us to apply for a grant, we need to be applying.
All right, thank you. Okay, anybody else? All right, we will reconvene up in 15 minutes.
Going upstairs or downstairs, I don't know where I'm at.
Wants their,
Cause all they wanna do is say, hey, no.